Hi there, welcome to Wellness and Care by Lori. I just want to take a moment to thank you subscribers and new subscribers for coming to this wellness community channel. I so appreciate your support. So we're going to continue another segment on business wellness, and I am sitting next to Miss Diane Geller with Fox Rothschild in West Palm Beach. And we talked about the sprouting phase on the last segment. And this segment, I want to just talk about like the startup business phase. I mean, what do people need to know out there when they're starting up a business?
Where they're going to get the money.
Oh, that's the first thing. Absolutely.
You got to have money to have seed money to start it up.
Right.
Usually, sometimes you can get friends and family investors, but then you have to have a pretty good business plan. So you need to have a business plan that you put together. Projecting some of your financial expectations, your costs, your income, how long it's going to take you to start generating an income, and that's certainly part of it. You need to get some good advisors. That's a good attorney, a good accountant that's going to help you, because they need to help you decide what form of an entity you're going to set up.
Right.
Is it going to be a partnership and
LLC?
An LLC? I doubt you're going to want a C Corp. You probably maybe an S Corp.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff has to be done by somebody that knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't try and go to the online services, because ultimately you're going to make a mistake.
Well, that's what's so scary these days. I've seen so many businesses close just recently. I mean, look at COVID, what happened to our nation. But I think that's so important, because you just said don't go to the internet. I started a business for clothing with a partnership. Went to the internet, did our little, instead of an attorney, and then we went separate ways.
That's the problem.
And then I had to get an attorney and spend a lot of money to get her off the.
Well, and that's a big part of it. Do it right from the beginning.
Absolutely.
Many people try and cut corners just because it's expensive. But if you have a partner, if you have another shareholder, if whatever that relationship is, document it, get a shareholders agreement, a membership agreement, get a partnership agreement, whatever it is, because right now you're we talked about it before.
I was just thinking that, the honeymoon phase.
You're in the honeymoon phase. So.
I mean, it's so exciting when I think the conception of starting a business, the idea, it's so exciting and it's so colorful, and you're just but then when reality steps in and all those components, Diane. So can you give me a little bit more insight? I know you talked about what type of company and to hire an attorney to help you put everything in place. What would you say next?
Well, when you're hiring an attorney,
yes,
hire somebody who knows that type of law.
Exactly.
Don't hire a family lawyer to set up a corporation. Hire a corporate lawyer. Don't cheap out then. And just to go back to one last thought on the importance of those agreements, you want to know when years later you pull that out of your file drawer, that agreement between you and your partner, when things aren't good, that it says what you think it says. And you want it to deal with issues also, how to split, what happens if something happens to one of you. All of those become important. So you want to do that. You want to figure out the money phase. Once you get your corporation set up or your entity set up, you got to set up a bank account. Get a bank account set up. You've got to kind of do it in order. Determine where you're going to operate your business. Are you going to go rent space? Are you going to do it in your garage? All of that's important. But just to go back one step back, and that is the reason why you want an entity and you want to do all of this under your entity is in order to protect your personal assets. It's one thing if they can attack your corporation, it's another thing if they can attack your personal assets.
Yes.
So you really want to do it right.
I know that.
So
I understand that. So is there anything else that you want to elaborate on that is dealing with that initial phase of starting a business that someone out there who is about to start a business might
Well,
wanna
you
know.
also have to think about, should you be copywriting, should you be trademarking, should you be patenting your idea, your product, your name,
Your website name,
your
everything.
website
Yes,
name,
everything.
put a copyright on your website, make sure your website is.
There's a bird flying.
Oh, yeah,
It was really
yes.
beautiful. I got a little distracted. I was like going over protection.
That's right. They're
So,
actually
yeah.
hawks.
Yeah.
So you want to also put a copyright on your website, and you want to make sure your website is handicap accessible.
Interesting.
That's a real hot issue. There's been a bunch of lawsuits, and they continue because it's quick money for the attorneys that bring them. There are some very specifics, so make sure that who's ever setting up your website understands that.
And one more thing I think we didn't tap into, which I know about because I do have an exercise business, is insurance. And insurance is a huge thing. You have somebody slip and fall, either workers exempt if you have independent contractors. There's a whole bunch of.
Yeah, you always give me a tick when you talk about
I
workers.
know, I get a
independent
little.
contractors.
I
Yes,
know,
workers'
I know.
comp, general liability,
All of that, of the above.
automobile liability,
Yes.
non-owned auto liability in case
If you have
you're using a
drivers.
rental
Yes,
car,
yes.
or your employee is losing a rental car and has an accident.
There's so
Professional liability, depending on what you're doing, or E&O. Later, maybe employment practices. There's lots of insurance. Be careful. You don't want to be insurance poor, though. So you need to have a really good business insurance agent that is not going to soak you, honestly.
Right, and also, I mean, this might be a stupid question, but
No,
for
never.
fire and all those, like flood.
Property insurance.
Should people be advised to do,
Well,
I mean,
it depends
depending on
what
because
you
we're in
have.
Florida. Okay,
It depends on what you have.
Okay.
And if you're leasing property, the landlord is more than likely going to have certain requirements that you have to meet. You know, some companies, you know, their whole office is a computer and a table.
Right.
If that's the case, you probably don't need to go out and buy property insurance, but you do need to have general liability in case the slip
I
and
had to
fall.
have that for,
So, and then there are these small policies, they used to be called BOPs, B-O-P-S. I don't know that they still exist, but they're, right, well, what they were business operations. And
Protection?
Yeah, and it was
Okay.
a policy that had like a package policy that had all of
Interesting.
this together that would, you know, was more reasonable for the small business, so.
Diane, I can't thank you enough. I mean, this information is so imperative for people out there who are starting a company, or it's just so interesting to listen to you. I mean, is there anything else you want to say to the viewers out there?
Be careful, be
Yeah.
smart, don't be cheap in the beginning.
And you can find Diane Geller at Fox and Rothschild.
Fox
I keep
Rothschild.
saying Fox and Rothschilds. Fox Rothschilds in West Palm Beach,
Yeah.
Florida. And we will put her website and her info down below.
Great.
So people can look you up. She's
Perfect.
fantastic. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Thanks, Lori.
I really appreciate your time today.
My pleasure.
And thank you, subscribers and new subscribers, for chiming in today. And we'll see you soon.